Good evening, and welcome to another Halloween episode of Christopher Moonlight's Household Filmmaking. I am joined by two spooktacular filmmakers. Why don't you boys please introduce yourselves?
Good evening. This is Joseph Fotinos. I am an actor, and I play the character of Oz in the horror film BEWERE.
And my name is Budro Partida, and I am the director of said werewolf film, BEWERE.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm late. Sorry. Vincent, thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Have a happy Halloween.
Thank you, Vincent. Guys, welcome to the show. Sorry I'm late. Thank you. Yes, it's a stormy night, so thank you for being on, and you're both dual Skyping because you were going to... Yeah, Joseph, you were going to drive. You had to turn around in the storm, didn't you?
I did. It was quite the storm here in central Texas, trying to drive over to Budro's, and I literally could not see the road in front of me, and I thought, well, this is silly and could lead to bad things. So I pulled over for a bit, waited for it to calm. It did not, and I said, Budro, we got to figure something else out. So I'm glad this worked out.
Yeah. Me too. Well, thank you both for being on, and I think because this is a horror movie episode so close to Halloween, my favorite time of year, and Vincent's too, it's appropriate. So maybe while we're talking, we'll get some good thunder strikes, set the mood. But I had the pleasure of seeing a screener of this movie, but it actually hasn't premiered yet. It's a sold-out premiere. You guys actually sold out this premiere at the Alamo Draft-House in Austin. How does this feel? Are you guys excited? The hype is real.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty exciting because when we were talking about doing a screening, originally our PR guy, Jonju, we had originally just kind of said, well, maybe we'll just kind of, maybe book one of the independent theaters or something, or maybe we'll just do a screening at the actual location of where the film was shot or something. That, we'll just see what we can do. And then I just happen to have a couple contacts. I work in TV, and some of my TV contacts said, well, you should at least try to do the Alamo Draft-House. And so we reached out to them, and they came back. And at one point, one Alamo Draft-House location said, yeah, we can do it. It's, but we'll give you a Saturday morning, like first thing in the morning, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, okay. And I had the contract in my hand, and then all of a sudden a different draft house came up and said, oh, wait, we want to do this. We want to have the screening over here at this location. So little by little, it got set up, and we decided to have the screening at Alamo Draft-House Lakeline. And we posted, some of the seats, the reserve seats are for our backers, but the rest actually went for sale to the general public. And then they sold out in, I think, under 48 hours. And we sold them. We posted it on Friday night. They were gone by Sunday afternoon, really. So, it's pretty exciting that we're going to be, premiering our film there, and not only premiering it at the Alamo Draft-House by itself, but we're actually making kind of a mini film festival showcase with displaying other horror shorts from around the country and around that were also made in Central Texas. So it's an exciting opportunity for all these filmmakers to kind of have a nice spooky night full of short horror films and whatnot, and trailers as well, actually, and kind of premiere it at a pretty nice venue that we're all going to be really excited to get together at.
Oh, man, I just love that story, to tell you the truth. As an independent filmmaker, and this show really is for independent filmmakers, I love hearing that, you just took the initiative, went and made this film, and then went for something that you thought, maybe this isn't possible, and you actually got probably like the best possible deal. You don't expect something like, and then to have it sell out. And by the way, to anybody listening who's going to see this, I was privileged enough to see a screener. This is worth turning up for. This is a quality production. I think you guys did a really great job, which is why I wanted to interview you about your experience. So when did this whole thing kind of come together? Because now, Budro, you work in television as it is, And am I getting this right? Did I see that you won an Emmy?
I have won an Emmy. I actually work on a late night TV series called Austin After Hours. And last year, I mean, my main role in television is I'm a commercial producer. I run the commercial production department. And, my daily job is to do quick turnaround on client commercials. But that's kind of, that being my background, that's kind of what really attracts me to the world of shorts. And that's why I kind of have been doing shorts a lot lately, because having that background in television kind of really teaches you how to shoot quickly, edit quickly, and have something up and ready to go, which is kind of what we did here with Beware. When the writer, Joy Lynn, first approached me with this script almost 2 years ago now, she said, hey, I have this short script that I really want to translate into a film version. It was originally going to be a graphic novel, part of a series of graphic novels. And that ended up kind of falling through. And she said, you know what, I really want to translate this to a film, to some kind of film short. And this is the first story of that series. And she approached me and said, what do you think about making this? I was like, oh, you know what, let's do it. Let's give it a little bit of time. Let's let this settle. And when the time is right, I'll pull the trigger and we'll make this happen. And then back in early spring, we finally decided it was the right time to do it. And then I got, I was like, well, obviously I need a lead actor. And first person that I thought of was Joseph. And, Joseph has been an amazing talent in the Austin area and really all over the country. And when I first thought of this program, I was like, I got to get Joseph involved. He and I had known each other for years, had lots of mutual friends, but we just never had the opportunity to work together. And this was finally that opportunity. And I think it really pays off.
Well, Joseph, now you, like I said before this interview started, you're kind of a chameleon, because I see you on Skype and I'm going like, wait a minute, which character was he? I completely could not peg you. And then when you told me that you were and we're not going to talk spoilers, but when you told me which character you were, I was like, no way. That's a complete transformation. Can you tell me a little bit about, two things. One, your background in acting generally, and two, what were your thoughts when Budro came to you with this script?
First of all, thank you very much for the kind words. It's always very, very nice for an actor to hear that his performance so encompasses a character that he's unrecognizable. I like that. My background in acting, I studied acting, BFA in acting in Wright State University. I moved to Austin and did improvisational comedy for many years. I was a member of a group called Monk's Night Out.
Nice.
And that group, we did HBO Workspace, and we did Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. I did some work in Chicago with the Second City improv troupe and the Improv Olympic with contemporaries like Rachel Dratch and Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and that group. We used to hang out together back in Chicago days. I did a lot of improv, a lot of sketch. I started doing a local horror movie TV show in Austin called Professor Griffin's Midnight Shadow Show, which combined the two things I really enjoy, horror movies and acting, and put them together. And I hosted late night horror movies. I did that for about 6 years in Austin, and then about 4 years nationally with Fangoria TV. I was hired to be their horror host for Fangoria.
Beautiful. And I love Fangoria as well. So
yeah. It was a hell of a time. It was a lot of fun, and big horror fan all my life. So it was a dream come true for me. And I did a couple of feature films with another producing partner of mine, Shane Scott from Broom Closet Studios here in Texas as well. And we did the show, like I said, for 6 years. So my background in acting is across the board. I've done off Broadway. I've done a lot of theater. I've done a lot of movies, TV, commercials, voiceovers, things like that. Pretty much a little bit of everything. When Budro approached me with this, I was thrilled because, as he mentioned earlier, we've known each other for years, and we roll in that same circle. He knows a lot of my improv friends. He rolls in those same circles. So I always saw him, and they always said, "Oh, you got to meet Budro. He loves horror movies as much as you do. You're going to love this guy." and we got together and chatted a couple times. I was like, this guy's all right. He knows his stuff. I like that, you know. But we never actually worked together. And I'd see his stuff online, and I think this guy's amazing. He's doing good stuff, and I love that fast turnaround stuff. I love his efficiency. I'm reminded of Bela Lugosi talking about Ed Wood for a second. Oh, at Universal, it takes 5 to 6 weeks to do it. He does it in 5 days. It's amazing. But yeah, it is, and so I was thrilled to do it. And the script was a lot of fun. I was very enamored with the character that I was offered. And a werewolf. It was truly one of the unique things about the script, about the story. No spoilers, but I've seen so many werewolf movies in my lifetime. I'd never seen anything that addresses things like this, that addresses consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really, really impressed with the way it was put together.
Especially in this day and age, because these days characters like werewolves and vampires are very much romanticized, where they used to be kind of these lecherous, foul, stinking demons of the darkest corners of the world. They, for a while, turned into like the most romantic figures, where you had literally the fans going kind of like, well, like I said, I don't think I'm spoiling anything to say that there's a desire for this power in this film, and that kind of reflects on how there are people who romanticize these creatures to a point, the things like Twilight, Interview with a Vampire, where it's just, you've literally got kids pining away going, oh, I wish I was a werewolf or I was a vampire. And to say
no.
that there's absolutely consequences to this, and that you guys kind of address it in a humorous way. This your character is kind of cantankerous, which I enjoyed. So again, I don't want to spoil too much, but there is a lot to this. I think it's an interesting concept, and I'm curious too. Like, Budro, do you have any background with werewolves, or is there like a specific love of them, or was it kind of just on the roster of creatures that you've always wanted to do?
Well, I mean, this story. One of the reasons I was attracted to this story is that this story is very much in the vein of the old Tales from the Crypts, and those stories that you see in the Haunt of Fear and all those kind of EC comics. I have a huge collection right here next to me. I know you can't see it, but right here next to me, I mean, I have a huge collection of EC comics. I collect them. I've read them since I was a tiny kid, and I've always loved them. And that's kind of like has always been a passion of mine. I love anthology films. I love the short storied aspects. And what I really liked about the EC comics and translating this is that they always dealt with, all right, you had your basic kind of archetypes of, you had a werewolf story, a vampire story, a zombie story, a voodoo story, and a mummy story. And one way or another, one of those archetypes kind of develop into one of these deals on the page. So really, this was just kind of another opportunity to kind of put something on film that, like, oh, this is a cool werewolf story, very much in the veins of a Tales from the Crypt story. That's something that I think you would actually see in the pages of that Bill Gaines put out. But I'm a big fan of all those old school stories and kind of creepy tales. And I mean, one of my huge influences is Creepshow, the original 1982 George Romero film. I absolutely love Creepshow. And I think that's probably one of my biggest influences when it comes to actual horror films. And so those kind of like short, tightly wrapped stories, it really didn't matter what they were about, whether it be a werewolf, a vampire, a zombie. I mean, I am kind of a zombie-aholic. I love zombie stories. I collect all the zombie movies. But really, I mean, I kind of have an overall passion for just horror in general. But this just happened to be a really good werewolf story, and that's what I really liked about it.
So I feel like in hearing you talk that maybe down the line there may be an anthology film kind of like Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt from you.
That would be a very awesome treat if it comes down to it. I mean, I definitely would keep my eyes open, and then see what we can maybe get down on the page first. But I'm definitely open to the idea.
Have you seen the new Creepshow that just came out?
The Shudder series?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Greg Nicotero and Mike Whitten, Brian Whitten, I think they did a great job with it. So I mean, it's definitely awesome because it's now bringing it to a newer audience, and because I know that I've seen online when I've seen, I don't know about you, Joseph, but I know that I've seen it where like kids are saying, oh, check out this new series called Creepshow. And I'm just like, dude, hey,
Yeah. I like that it harkens back to and they do a very good job with it. If I had a chance to see Nicotero again, I would sit down with him and I'd ask him a couple of questions about the new series, and I love it. I'm enjoying it, but I would be like, okay, where's the gore? Where's the gross out? Because the original Creepshow had the show stopping. They're creeping up on you, which you're like, holy cow, I can't believe I just saw that. I like that over the topness of it, and I'm waiting for it. I thought we were going to get it last episode with the elevator. We didn't. I was a little disappointed. Second thing I'll ask Nicotero is, why didn't you get John Harrison to do the same theme that he did for the original movie?
I mean, that myself. Yeah.
It's John Harrison. He wrote it. He directed. Right. So sure, and he's doing the music for it. I think the new opening that they got is him. So I'm like, why not use the iconic Creepshow theme? Now, the only thing I could think of is it had to be tied up in some Laurel litigation rights.
Yeah, usually it is.
That's the only reason, for them not to use it, because it's so recognizable.
Well, I will be honest, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard the previews yet. I have been told by a friend who's a mutual appreciator of the Stephen King short stories that we love so much, because we are way into things like Night Shift, and I heard, I'm blocking on the name of it, I heard they did the one with the bad beer, which Gray Matter, thank you, which is one of my favorites. But anyway, I digress, because we're here talking about you guys. Now, I really, I kind of, again, without spoiling it, what is kind of like these characters, they're all kind of, they have certain points of view on what it means to be a werewolf. There's a lot of preconceived ideas, and there's, on the other side, there's a jaded attitude. As actors, and as a director, how do you approach that? How do you kind of get that chemistry going? Because I felt like there was a good chemistry there between the I wouldn't say that the character, there's definitely characters that don't like each other, but they very convincingly don't like each other. So I'm curious about the process of kind of building that animosity on the screen.
I'm going to use an analogy so I don't spoil anything, but imagine you are a country western superstar, and you've gone through everything to get there, and you're lauded and applauded. You've seen everything, you've done everything, you've had the world torn out from under you and replaced back again. You're wise in the ways of country music. And then some guy walks up to you with a guitar and says, "Please teach me how to play country music. I really want to be you." And after 6 divorces, you're thinking to yourself, you really don't want to be me. But okay, kid, if you really want this, I mean, do you really want this? Because I'm telling you, it ain't all it's cracked up to be. So there's an animosity there that comes from the idea, like, you don't understand. Plus, you're not showing me the proper respect of someone in my station. You're calling my music old-fashioned. You're disregarding me as an old has-been, yet you're trying to get my stuff. You're trying to get my skill. Come on, kid. Really? All right. Go out in the world. Here's a couple of things. Good luck to you. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen to you when the music industry chews you up and spits you out, but go ahead. There's my analogy.
Very well done, man.
Yeah, I like that.
You.
And how about you, Budro? I mean, you, again, this is something that's interesting to me is, as I'm a director and a producer, but I generally only ever work with my own material usually when I'm working with someone else's materials, not as a director, it's as an effects guy. So I haven't had the experience yet of finding a script that I'm like, oh, I have to direct this, even though it's not something I wrote. What is it like kind of reading a script and then kind of pulling out the things that you want to visualize and, you know, working with the actors to get that, and cameraman and all that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, very rarely when I come across a script or a story, does something immediately jump out at me and I already kind of have it perfectly storyboarded in my head. I knew exactly what the shots were going to be as I was reading it. And that doesn't happen all the time. And now I am a very visual person, but if I am completely storyboarding it in my head as I'm reading the script, and again, it harkens back to the comic book panels, which is, basically the storyboard in front of you. I think to me that definitely says, well, I think you might have the right kind of eyes to possibly put this it on film, So for me, it was kind of just an opportunity to say, hey, I really think I know how to shoot this, and I think I know exactly what needs to be said and how it needs to be told. Because when it comes to the performances, I mean, I really didn't have to give Joseph a lot of direction. I had to give the other characters more of the direction to keep up with Joseph. And so as the director, really, I kind of let them go somewhat, and just it was my job as a storyteller to just kind of manipulate the camera and place it where it needed to be in order to capture that performance and do it efficiently. And it goes back to editing as well. So because I'm also the editor, I'm also editing it as I'm shooting it, or as we're shooting it. So I'm actually building it as we are shooting it. So really, again, when it comes to just telling the story, I'm just capturing the performance, and then hopefully kind of put it together in a way that I think it's going to kind of make sense and snap and have the audience react to it. So, but I mean, yeah, when the story is this original and this good and this kind of like it calls to you. I hate to say that kind of cheesy line that it beckoned to me for me to do it. I mean, but it was really one of these, like, as soon as I read it, I said, okay, yes, I definitely want to do this. And because it was different, and because it is a different kind of little tale, and again, it is a short, so it did remind me of, like, hey, this is very akin to the Tales from the Crypt EC comics that I really loved, and I want to make my own, and featuring a werewolf this time. I've done other horror shorts before, but this was my opportunity to, like, hey, let's play with the werewolf genre a little bit. And by the way, let's get this badass actor Joseph Fotinos to actually play the lead werewolf. And you know what? Let's see what he can do. And I think it was a really great surprise with what we ended up with.
Well, I want to say something about that. You said it's cheesy to say that it beckoned to you, but it really does work that way. I mean, I think anyone that's had kind of an epiphany in a creative way, a creative moment like that you feel something kind of like tug at you. And I've heard people, there was one poet that described it as, it's like a wave, and you have to swim with that wave or it washes over you and it's gone. So, I honestly believe that if you're going to care about a project, if you're going to be passionate about it, if you do have to feel kind of a spiritual connection that doesn't have as much logic to it. So I don't think that that's cheesy at all. One of the things that you said that really interests me, though, is, I think all the actors did a great job, but I'm very curious as for both of you, your point of view on, you guys being more seasoned versus working with younger actors who are, they just don't have the experience, the discipline, and I mean, let's just be honest, there's a certain amount of skill that comes with just doing it over and over again over a period of time that as a young person, you're not going to have as much of. And it's no slight on anybody young. It's just a fact. You're like, the more you do something, the more honed you become at it. So what is it like working with younger people, both for Joseph and for you, Budro? Like, what do you do to kind of like pull a performance from them? Maybe pull isn't the right word.
I want to jump in real quick and talk about my the actor who I did the most work with was Logan Paul, and Logan, who plays the young wannabe werewolf, is such an enthusiastic actor, and he's got amazing talent and amazing energy. That's one of the things that I enjoyed a great deal working with him. He was willing to do anything. When you see the film, that takes a lot of guts, what he did, and some durability. I don't know if you Budro, if you shared this with anybody, but he's worked extensively on Fear the Walking Dead as multiple zombies. He's been multiple zombies on that show. His physicality is amazing. So they slapped him into various different makeups and had him play multiple zombies in single episodes. He's like 5 different zombies in single episodes because he's got the physicality and he's willing to do just about anything and put up with a lot physically. And I admire that in an actor. I admire his dedication to doing that a type of extreme stuff. And as far as the internal stuff, he's an open book. We chatted for quite a bit on set, and he sort of fell in love with the genre and the movies that I know, and he doesn't. So for weeks after we stopped shooting, he's texting me. He's texting me to this day, and he's like, "What do I watch? Give me a movie. I want to expound my experience." So I've been shooting him titles, 70s, 80s stuff, some even 60s stuff. I got him to watch the original Haunting, the old black and white Haunting.
Oh,
it is the greatest haunted house movie ever. Richard Johnson and Claire Bloom and the Shirley Jackson Haunting of Hill House, but the original one, not the remake.
Yeah,
with Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Don't watch that. Don't watch that.
It's amazing. I just got to stop you. The original Haunting is an example of some of the best acting I've ever seen as well. And to have actors like Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones who are excellent, like kind of phone that in made it even more painful to watch that remake. But the original,
they sort of spelled it out for you, didn't they? I mean, they in the remake they were very obvious about the idea that when the wood starts moving and the little angel heads start turning and the banisters start shifting and morphing and it's CGI everywhere in this house. And whereas the original, the only thing was the sound. What I told Logan was, when you watch this movie, turn off all your lights, crank down your AC, and turn up your sound. Turn your sound up as if you have a surround sound, even better. Listen to this house. This house talks. This house moves. This house has a lot to say. The pounding, the sounds, the darkness. That the Haunting truly has one of the most terrifying moments in haunted house history, and the only thing they show is an open door. When that door opens to the nursery, when it's open finally, you gasp. You're like,
yeah,
oh my, and that's all it is. I mean, that's masterful to get it. Robert Wise, ladies and gentlemen, Haunting. Check it out.
Definitely. And another thing you mentioned too is he's worn a lot of makeups. I actually just recently did a interview with actor Doug Tate, who does a lot of makeup acting. He's the Sasquatch in those beef jerky commercials. He was the pig creature. I forget the name of the pig creature in the new Hellboy movie. He's been on multiple TV shows. He's also an actor outside of suit performing as well. But yeah, the idea that you can just be very physical and not complain gets people calling you back, which is wonderful. And that enthusiasm, man, is so important. As a director, again, to find actors that have enthusiasm for the material is, you cast those people, because that means so much. And I also kind of just bring that up as well. There's makeup effects in here as well. There's people, there's gore, there's werewolf prosthetic, and a friend of mine, Jenna Green, did some work for you guys as well, who is on Face Off. What is it like working with the makeup and that sort of thing? It's like having it on set. I'm a big advocate of practical effects, so obviously I'm going to say having it on set is always better than just having, like a dot stuck on your forehead or in front of you or something like that. You know, what was it like for you guys?
As an actor wearing makeup, I'm very used to it, and I'm very comfortable in it. I mentioned earlier I did some off Broadway and did full head casts and prosthetics with some of the things that I did there. I'm comfortable wearing costumes and putting up with a lot of that stuff. It boils down to my childhood growing up and even to this day wearing costumes and stuff for Halloween and Mardi Gras and Carnival and things like that I enjoy dressing up for. I'm fine with being uncomfortable for the effect. I like dedicating myself to the effect. So it was a joy. It was an extension of the character. When makeup's done right, when makeup's done correctly, it's just an extension of the character. So visualizing it in your head when you look at yourself in the mirror and go, yep, that's kind of what I felt like when I was reading this, or how I felt like this character would look. It's so much easier to let that play out. And the makeup today's makeup, it's not like Jack Pierce putting cotton and collodion on. It's fairly comfortable. It's not horrible. There's some long hours sitting in a chair and getting stuff pasted on you, but you take it with a grain of salt and you enjoy it. I love the magic of it. I love the transformation, And
I mean, I really think that Jenna Green and our other effects artist, Taylor Haggard, it really, when you see the final product on the screen, it's really a testament to not only their skill set, but their dedication to this project. Because, I mean, we were a low budget film, but they still brought exquisite and amazing talent to the film set and said, well, do you want to see this or do you want to see this? I can do this both ways, or I can do this three ways. And then and me as the director, it's always fun thinking that, like, well, when I actually have my makeup team and my effects team, this is what's going to happen, and this is what I'm going to need them to do, and I'm going to ask of them. But when Jenna came up to me and said, well, I need you to pick some fangs. And you got these size fangs and these size fangs and these contacts, and I was just giddy saying, like, we're actually doing this. We're actually making a werewolf film, and that's when it really got real. And then when we were actually shooting it, and you ask them to pull off a couple gags, and when you're actually behind the camera and you're looking through the camera lens and you see these gags work, when you get that good take and you see that blood splurt, or you see that whatever bite, or you see whatever the gag, when you see the gag work, it's a real it's a thrill, and it's a magical moment that happens on set, and everybody knows that it's because of the effects team, and it's because of everybody involved with what the gag was. So I'm just ecstatic that both Jenna and Taylor did just an amazing job, and we actually premiered the film this past weekend at our first film festival. And we walked away with 4 awards, and
wow.
one of them being best special effects. So I was really proud to have them as part of our team, and just for their creativity, their skill set, and just their dedication and passion to the project, because they just brought so much with so many ideas, where they just say, we can do this, what do you think about this? And me as a director, I'm just like, look, I'm open to ideas. Tell me what you think, and let's figure something out to make this look really good for the fans and for the viewers in the crowd and in the screen and online and all that. So it's effects was definitely kind of we knew that it was going to be all practical. We weren't going to be doing CG stuff, but that meant, that means that we're going to have a lot of blood, and we're going to have it all over the place, and it's going to be all over the actors at some point, or it's going to be all over the place, and that's the way it should be. So I was really kind of happy to have that as part of this film.
But Budro, I'm going to ask you a question, actually. Is this the most effects-heavy project you've ever done?
Actually, it is.
Yeah.
It is the heaviest. I mean, this is for the first time that this is the only project that I've had this much dedication to effects and prosthetics and stuff. But I mean, it's worth it. And one of the last couple of days of shooting that Joseph and I did together, we were shooting some stuff in sequence of how the script was laid out. And that implied that we were going to be doing, fangs and contacts and stuff, and then other prosthetics and stuff. But, and as the famous line goes, it's hurry up and wait. But the whole time that Joseph is in the makeup chair, we're seeing this magic happen. And the entire crew that's there is just excited because they see how it's coming along and they see how cool it's looking. And then when he finally walks on set, and this happened, a couple of different times, where when Joseph first walked on set the very first time with the full prosthetics and the contacts and the fangs and everything, I mean, our DP, Robert, he jumped back. He was like, holy shit. It actually scared him. I mean, so that's just a testament about how great these effects are and how talented both Jenna and Taylor were on this film.
Well, as a director myself, I've got to say there's been several times in my life where I've kind of in my mind conceded to like, oh, okay, this is what we can afford, so this is what we're going to get, so we'll just work with it. And then, Jenna has shown up as one example and delivered something so above and beyond. You do get giddy. You go like, I didn't think I could have this. This looks like it could be in a real movie type of thing,
One thing that I'm very proud of is, and this comes for any project that I do, not just this film or any other films, is that and then I think Joseph can attest to this now, is that I really don't half-ass anything. No. When it comes to something, if I'm going to dedicate myself to a project, I mean, we are treating this like a full feature film. I mean, everything from the graphic design to the posters to the marketing to now the premiere. I mean, it is. I don't half-ass anything, and this is a testament to all the stuff that I do in TV as well. And so yeah, if I'm gonna do it, I mean, we might as well go balls to the wall and do it right,
No doubt, and it's true. It's very impressive. I mentioned earlier that I used to do a horror host TV show. And as in other films too with my other producing partners. But back in those days, I literally was an actor, the writer of the show, the host. I also did a lot of editing. I did a lot of shooting. I did a lot of setup. I did a lot of set design. I did a lot of everything. And I can't tell you what a joy it is, Budro, to just be an actor. It's really kind of fun, And don't take this the wrong way, because the end result is going to speak for itself. Mind you, I have yet to see this, Mr. Moonlight. You have this over on me. I have not seen the short.
He has not seen the final cut.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
So I'm excited about the premiere so I can see it. But it took me a couple of times. What? Just do this? Okay. Are you good with this? Are you happy with this? And I felt like, I need to get up and do this, or I need to get up and help set up this shot. I don't. I'm just going to sit there and be an actor. And that was incredibly satisfying. I haven't done that in years because I've always been so involved behind the camera as well, doing the show for Fango and stuff. So this was incredibly exciting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved every minute of just being your actor. To say, Budro, are you happy? You like that? Good. All right. Good. You're happy. I'm happy.
Hey,
it's
it's real SAG acting. It's like,
and the thing is for me, and Chris, I've actually said this before, and I know Joseph have heard me say this, is that for me, yes, the final film is important. The final product on the screen is important, but for me, it's also the connections that we make with the cast and the crew and the grips, everybody from the makeup department to the guys that are running the craft services. I mean, everybody that's involved. It's the connections that we make with each other on set and in post-production. That I think that's what's really important. And I think, because looking back on it, we all get to come back and say, hey man, we made a werewolf movie, that's pretty cool, and we all did it together. And now, a lot of these cast and crew and everybody that's involved in it, I mean, now they're friends and they talk online and they go out and they hang out, and they're like, I can't wait to work on the next project with you, or maybe we have something else lined up, and that's kind of like a big thing for me, because I mean, essentially kind of just like a quarterback, I'm just kind of leading the team as, hey guys, all right, come on, keep that energy up. I know it's 3 a.m, but come on, let's keep up that energy and let's do this. Hey, come on, we're making a werewolf movie, and here come the effects, and we're waiting for the makeup and everything, and it's just, I'm just kind of teaching or coaching everybody on, and then asking them to like, hey, please keep that passion and that intensity going so that it translates on camera and on the screen. And then but I mean, like yeah, the end result is important, and that final film is important. But I mean, it's really, I mean, I consider Joseph my horror soulmate, because he and I think exactly alike, and we're really passionate about stuff like this, and it's just overall fun, and it's what we want to do, and it's what we want to do all the time, and now that we we do it a little bit, you want to do it a little bit more, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of one of those things that, like, you know what, we get to do this sometimes, and it's kind of like, if we're doing this in the world of shorts, yes, it is a challenge, but I mean, overall, we're just having a good time, and we want to have something fun so that we can say, hey, man, we can put our names on it, and we can say, I was a part of that, whether you were on the grip crew or whether you were on the effects team or part of the music, that you can say, I was a part of that project, and that's what really gets to me.
I'll go on record here and say this on your podcast, sir. I'm thrilled with the success this has had so far. I know it's going to get even better, but I see shorts, in my experience, I see shorts as sort of a business card or a calling card for what you can do. Mm-hmm. When people see this and are impressed, which they will be, they'll be like, oh, wow, that's really good. What can you do with a couple of $1 million and a bigger budget? What can you do with a full-length feature? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hoping for you, Budro, is that you get that response, because it's like a business card. I mean, or watch my reel or watch my thing. Yeah. I did this, and I did it with low budget, and they go, wow, this is pretty good. Well, I want to get you someone like you who's got the talent, who could make stuff fast and efficiently and well. God, that's what we want.
Well, you both know the story of Lights Out, don't you?
The short Lights Out, the short Lights Out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It's just a guy with his girlfriend in Sweden, and then now he Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, mm-hmm. and Shazam, like a big blockbuster superhero movie, all from a short film. So absolutely, it's possible. And I think, like you said, with the chemistry, with everyone working together on a set, and Joseph, like you said, with just being the actor and being able, because it is, I've done the whole thing where I set up the camera and then hit play and then slate it and jump in front of it and then look into the camera and try and do like my YouTube narrative and screw it up 20 times and then go into edit and try and remember which one was the take that actually worked. It's a lot of different directions your attention is split. So I'm sure as well for Budro, it's nice to have you dedicated to just giving the performance. And I know what you're saying, because even on the set of my film, The Quantum Terror, my actors would, be like, cut, okay, we need to do this. And the actor would like start to go to move to help out. And I'd be like, stay on your mark. Stay. Don't move. Oh, sorry. We would, Anthony Gutierrez, who's my director of photography on that, was like, keep it in SAG rules. SAG rules say you're not allowed to do anything but the job you're there to do. If it's like, if you're not supposed to, if you're an actor, don't, pick up that sandbag or whatever, just stay on your mark.
It just, I guess, really it depends, because you hear stories. I'm a big fan of Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and when he made that film,
not SAG,
everyone was pitching in. Russell Schreiner and John Russo and all these guys. They were running cable and doing stuff, wearing zombie makeup, and they were all pitching in. There's a level, I think, of low budget filmmaking that it's almost like the trenches of a war. It's 3:00 in the morning and we're all doing this. Yeah, I'll pick this sandbag up, or I'll move this light. Eventually you want to get to the point where you can go, hey, there's people here to do that, and they're better at it than I am, so let them do it. I'm not going to touch it. But if
that's
it's
my
help
philosophy
my
as a
get out of here
director.
Quicker, I'll move a bag.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
No, for
There's
sure.
a point, I hope that you don't have to do that. That you're surrounded with people who are skilled like that, and can take care of that and know their thing. Like I said, doing the show and doing the other two full-length features that we did two features called The Legend of Ghost Wolf Gold and The Magnificent Dead. Those are our two horror westerns, full-length feature horror westerns that we did, and that was like hell honor to make those movies. We shot those at Willie Nelson's ranch up here in Luck, Texas, and both of them. And I don't know why my producing partner at the time, Shane Scott, was so obsessed with westerns, but he wanted to do westerns, and I liked horror, so we did. Let's do both. And they were entertaining, but my God, it was like the trenches, man. And you, like Budro said, you get a camaraderie with the people that you work with, that you do that with. You know, you're in it to win it, and you're in it all the way. And so I got your back, you got my back. Yep, let's do this. Let's get it done. Because that's what happens when you're at war.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm sure as a director, Budro, you at least appreciate that there are talents that you can delegate to. You don't have to worry about every aspect of things.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, it's, again, as the director, kind of as the quarterback, you know, you have to rely on everybody's talents and skills and say, all right, guys, you know, you go to the guys on the grip crew and you say, I need you to move these lights and move this over here and set this up and these flags and lay this on the ground and move this car over here and need you to do that. And you need to be able to walk away and not, you know, granted, you're the director, you have control over the story, but you can't really control over, no, you're not moving that far enough. You have to trust people. And that's kind of the benefit of working on a budget or a lower budget film like this, where, you know, it's not 100-person crew. It was I think we only had like 17 people on the crew at any one time. So you trust people and you make them your friends, and you say, you know what, let's let these guys do this, and effects people, let's let them do that. And you know, in the end, it's all about what comes out on the screen, and we all get to say, like I mentioned, look, we all made this, and us as a collective, as filmmakers, got to put this together, and I think we're all proud of that. Excellent.
Well, I think we're just about out of time, but I want to plug your website, which is for this movie. It is hornylikethewolf.com.
It is.
And I believe this actually does kind of connect, that title to me at least, connects with something that I saw in the short film as well. Again, I won't spoil it. But we are going to do the after show, the post show for Patreon supporters. So Patreon supporters, stay tuned for that. If you're not a Patreon supporter, you can get access to that on my Patreon. But before we go, do you gentlemen have any final words or social media that you want to plug so we can make sure that people find you? And of course, I will be happy to put that in the description of this show as well.
Social media, good heavens, check out the hornylikethewolf.com website, and you know, there's also a Beware Film on Facebook page that you can go to. We float around there quite a bit. If you're interested in looking at anything from the old Professor Griffin days, Midnight Shadow Show, what I used to do there, you can find that on YouTube. There's some videos floating around. There's also a Facebook page of the Professor Griffin's Midnight Shadow Show. I did want to mention that it's a thrill to meet somebody who's as enamored with horror and the macabre as I am, like Budro is. So we enjoy the presentation. So to that effect, he has convinced me to release Professor Griffin once again from Mothballs, and he will be at the premiere for a brief time to introduce do some trivia contests and introduce some things. But it's always fun to have Fangoria TV's Professor Griffin hanging around in my back pocket.
Beautiful. That's great. Anything from you, Budro?
Yeah, I mean, definitely keep hornylikethewolf.com as one of your favorite bookmark pages, and check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/bewarefilm. On there, we'll be posting more updates as far as more screenings. You know, I definitely want to take a chance to thank our sponsors that are going to be involved with the premiere, and you know, thank you to everybody that helped us make this premiere possible. Thank you to all our backers that helped fund this project. Because without them, we wouldn't have put this together, or it wouldn't have been as easy for sure. But you know, thank you to all the fans that have been following this on our page. I mean, we've had a really huge following, and to all the people that have, like, you know, worldwide, that are now actually paying attention to us and to this tiny little short werewolf film. I mean, we've gotten recognition nationwide, not only from, you know, other filmmakers, but from actually some, other, I don't want to give too much away, but some other actors and directors and from the actual horror genre that are actually like paying attention to us and paying attention to this film. And it's pretty cool that like, hey, wow, this certain director said this about us, and it's pretty neat, And so I'm just really glad and really happy that we worked on this, and I'm ecstatic that I got to work with Joseph, and I think he's a brilliant actor, and all the acting that he does, no matter regardless of the character. So I'm just glad that we finally got to work with each other, and I'm just happy and thrilled with the cast. Logan Paul, Ray Roberts, Drew Johnson, the score, the original score, the music. Oh my God, the soundtrack that we came up with. I mean, the 80s metal soundtrack for the credits was a completely original thing by Al Garza, the score by Fred Morris. I mean, everybody involved just did an amazing job. I really want to thank our executive producers, Doug Kosaric and Tom Pastore. They just thank you for helping us, and thank you to everyone that's been supporting us so far and will be.
Excellent. Well,
Amen.
I want to say thank you to you guys for being on the show. This has been a lot of fun, especially just in time for Halloween. It's always good to have a Halloween horror theme episode right before the 31st. And so for my listeners, please stay tuned. If you're going to be part of the Patreon, we're going to talk some spoilers in the post show, and as well as asking Budro about some of his other short films, which we didn't get to talk about on here, but this is not your first horror rodeo. So we're going to talk about that on the post show. So thank you all for listening to Household Filmmaking. I am Christopher Moonlight.
And I have been Vincent Price.
So have a great time making your film or watching your film, whatever you do, and we'll be back for more episodes.